Guru Charana Purvam Kevala Bhakti Sarvam Kevala Bhakti Sarvam Guru and Shri Gauranga. Prabhupada ki jai, Mahamasa ki jai.
पीछे थोड़ा वो
Hare Krishna, it is. So we are very fortunate to have His Grace Gauranga Prabhu Iskcon Seshadripuram. So I'd just like to give a brief introduction. So today is Gita Jayanti, and we have His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, who had from childhood was intrigued by the problems of death and was inquiring about the questions of life. And then when Prabhuji came to IIT Bombay, and there he got Bhagavad Gita. And the message of Bhagavad Gita that completely transformed his life. And from there on, he dedicated his life for teaching Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, Prabhuji would say, when I read a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, it already appeared in my mind. As if from past life. And Prabhuji is very close to His Holiness Jagannath Swami Maharaj. So Maharaj has any project, he would call for Gauranga Prabhu, and there have been many pastimes how Prabhuji had worked under Maharaj, being trained by Maharaj, understood the mood of Maharaj, and the whole GV project, the GV Eco Village project, come by the hard efforts of Prabhuji. And it has international recognition, many prizes from international organizations, and many eco-related projects Prabhuji had gained in GV Wala. So Prabhuji is also a GBC, Governing Body Commission in ISKCON, Trustee of ISKCON GBC College, member of the GBC Organization Development Committee and GBC Nominations Committee, Divisional Director of Devotee Care and Temple Development, Systems and Administration Department of ISKCON Temples worldwide. He is a director of the Govardhan Eco Village, a United Nations World Tourism Organization award-winning Eco Village community, and co-president of the ISKCON Chowpatty Temple. He is also serving as trustee and administrative director for Bhakti Vedanta Research Center, BRC, Kolkata, and due to which even our Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav degrees are becoming university degrees through BRC. And he is an inspirational speaker for his expertise of presenting Vedic knowledge in a contemporary and enticing way. He is making spirituality accessible to all. He has represented ISKCON as a speaker in various conferences and has given more than 10,000 discourses in last 2 decades on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, amongst other scriptures. Gauranga Prabhu to ISKCON Seshadripuram by one time chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Kunja Bihari. ISKCON संस्थापकाचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलियुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसमिटर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री श्री गीता जयंती महामहोत्सव की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की ताई गौर प्रेमानंद all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtaka Deshakarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So it's a pleasure, honor and privilege to be here in Shri Jagannath Mandir after many years, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the amazing new transformation, the new avatar in which the temple has manifested. Congratulations to all of you for making this happen. So I'll begin with the 5th chapter of Gita. Yesterday at the ICC temple we completed the first 4 chapters. The Gita has 5 topics: Ishwar, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma. So the entire Gita is spoken in the context of how the Jiva is trapped within this material world and trying to exploit Prakriti, Kala, Prakriti and Karma under the influence of Kala, and how the Jiva can actually find an alternative relationship. The Jiva is currently, for millions of lifetimes in this world, completely obsessed with a relationship of exploiting matter. Bhukta bhoga parityakta drishta dosha cha nityasha na ishwarasya ashubham dhatte sve mahim nistitasya cha. Srimad Bhagavatam describes having made repeated efforts to exploit and enjoy material nature. When the Jiva gets severely frustrated and thwarted in his attempts, the Jiva realizes that if there is pain, there must be some purpose behind that pain. When I put my finger in the fire, the feeling of pain is designed to warn me that my finger is not supposed to be within that fire. So the Gita is simply a manual which is revealing the purpose behind the pain which everyone in this world will go through. And the difference between animals and human beings is animals also experience pain, but only human beings can perceive and process what could be the purpose behind that pain. And the purpose, why that pain has been designed within this material world, is revealed in a fascinating way in the Bhagavad Gita. And an alternative relationship is proposed, that the Jiva can have a relationship with Ishwar, the Supreme Lord. And therefore that relationship of the Jiva with Prakriti through various karma to exploit Prakriti is known as bhoga. Bhukta bhoga parityakta drishta dosha cha nityasha. When the jiva is enjoying material energy to its fullest, it is like driving at full speed in a highway, 120 miles per hour, 140 miles per hour. But when does the U-turn begin? When there is a doubt. And what is the beginning of that doubt? That maybe this methodology of trying to enjoy material energy is not the right way. I was going for a program in Mumbai and I saw one building. It was written there, Sukha Shanti Apartments under repair and maintenance. So Prabhupada was trying to distribute his book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. One of the first books he wrote. And he gave that book to one of his friends in Jhansi, because Srila Prabhupada spent time in Jhansi. And when he gave that book to his friend asked him, what will I get by reading this book? And Prabhupada said, by reading this book, you will go to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. His friend said, after going to Vaikuntha, can I come back to Jhansi? Prabhupada said, that is not possible. So he said, I am not interested. So, when the jiva realizes that, okay, the obsessive effort to enjoy in this world comes with a price, maybe there is an alternative, and the jiva starts looking in that direction. And he starts looking towards an alternative. And so the Gita presents that yes, a relationship can be created with Ishwar. So when the tendency for bhoga reduces, the desire to develop relation with Ishwar develops, and that relationship of the jiva with Ishwara is what is known as yoga. The efforts for bhoga results in chinta, anxiety. And that's what Uddhava is saying. Tapatrayena bhitasya ghore santapyamanasya bhavadvanesha pasyaminanyat sharanam tavangre Dvandvat patrat amritabhivarshat. My dear Lord, trying to exploit and enjoy this material world, I have been subjected to the misery of Adidevik, Adibhotik and Adhyatmik kleshas. Pashyamina anyat sharanam. I do not see any other shelter apart from your lotus feet. Dvanda atapatrat. Your lotus feet are like the umbrella which protect me from the severe rains of material miseries. Please give me your shelter. So therefore, the Gita is actually presenting an alternative. How the jiva can establish a relationship with Ishwar. And the methods of establishing that relationship are many. By transforming one's intentions. So nowadays, people would like to go to IIT or IIM. They are the Indian institutes, either of technology or management. But the Gita is saying that before you start applying technology or management, which is ultimately concerned with action, you have to purify internally with 5 eyes. And that's what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, because Arjuna is under the impression that if I act, then there cannot be any non-violence, and if I am non-violent, I cannot act. So how can knowledge and action be together? So Krishna explains the Gita, and the essence of Gita, whether you approach it via Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, all the different methods of yoga which Krishna describes is simply so that we can embed these 5 eyes and transform the I, the ego. The first thing is transforming your intention, refining, purifying the intention. All of us are, familiar with refinery or filters which purify. So the intentions need to be purified. When the intentions are purified, then you have to have the right inspiration. When you have the right inspiration, then you have to make sure that you act with integrity. When you have the right integrity, which is to do as you have chosen to do, then you have to choose with the right intelligence and make the right choices. Because Gita is not a book of commandments, it's a book of choices. Dadami buddhi yogantam. Choose wisely with the intelligence. So once you have the right intention, inspiration, integrity and intelligence, still as you begin the process there will be many obstacles, many challenges. It's not going to be easy. So many obstacles and so many difficulties will be there, and so many people will try to oppose you, and things may not always work out the way you expect. You may be very excited, I am now chanting Hare Krishna and I will share with others, and they will jump in ecstasy when they hear from me. I was giving prasad to one college student, he refused to take it. I said, people refuse Gita, but I've never seen anybody refuse prasad. Why are you refusing prasad? And he said, I'm afraid if I eat this prasad, my hairstyle will become like yours. So many times people have all kinds of weird thoughts and anxieties and fears as soon as they see Hare Krishna. Because as soon as they see the tilak, something happens. Even in many villages, when we go to preach, even if the devotee smiles, they run away. And then they say, Hey Baba, I didn't tell you to do anything. He says, no, we know. After some time you will tell us, no meat eating and no intoxication. We know that. So therefore, we won't come to your program. You may not tell now. You may not tell for 2 years. You may not for 3 years. But ultimately, that is in your agenda. So therefore, even if you have the right intention, inspiration, integrity and intelligence, unless you have the 5th eye, you will not progress. And that is the intensity. You need the right intensity to progress. And therefore, with that intensity, you can overcome the obstacles. Nirvikara haridas gambhira ashray bolite lagila tare hoya sabe. When Thakur Haridas was approached by Maya Devi, Thakur Haridas remained unaffected, nirvikara. Why? Because his sadhana was intense. And therefore, we need intense. So, Krishna begins explaining to Arjuna from the first in the second chapter he explains what is the soul, that there is a soul within which is beyond your nature. Your nature may be that of Kshatriya. You may have the Swadharma of a Kshatriya, Swabhava of a Kshatriya. Because if you have the Swabhava and Swadharma, if your occupation matches your nature, that itself is a major accomplishment in Kali Yuga. Because so many people are confused trying to figure out what is my nature. Arjuna did not have any doubts about that. There was a devotee who was drafted into the Vietnam War in the 60s from college, because that used to be the draft. And he did not have a choice, and he said that I had no iota of any conflict or fight in my system. I was paranoid of, bullets, but I was forced to go there. So one day when he was in the jungles of Vietnam with his friend, his comrade with him, suddenly there were bullets, and the bullets hit his friend, and his friend fell on the ground. And now this devotee became very fearful that next bullet will hit me. He wanted to save himself. Immediately he pulled up his friend's dead body, placed it in front of him. He thought even if the next bullet comes, it will hit him only. So then he tried going back towards his own camp, using his friend's body as a shield. And he safely reached his camp. But when he reached his camp, he realized to his surprise that his friend was not dead. He was still alive. He had been hit with bullets, his body was filled with blood, he was bleeding profusely, but still he was alive. And the army gave this devotee bravery award for saving friend from death. And he said, I never revealed under what circumstances I brought that body. Arjuna had no doubts about his nature. Because when he tells Krishna, I want to become beggar, I will forgive all of them. They are all my family members. When Arjuna was overwhelmed with compassion and he said, I want to become beggar, Krishna warned him. Krishna said, you are a Kshatriya. Kshatriya means one who gets absorbed in conflict. Kshatriya means one who has more taste for conflict than Chappan Bhog. He has a taste for conflict. Brahmana is one who has taste for acquiring knowledge. Vaishya has a taste and gets absorbed in earning money. A more powerful symptom of a Vaishya is he becomes extremely agitated by losing money. So all of these are symptoms. So Krishna said, if you become beggar and artificially take up a kamandalu and go around begging that I am no longer, Kshatriya, I am just depending on your arms and everything. When you go and beg, people will insult you. So somebody will insult you on your face and say, get lost. You will become angry. You will take the same commando, hit it on his head. You will not be able to hold back. So therefore, don't be artificial. You have to fight. Action has to be that of fighting. Now I am speaking the Gita to you, Arjuna, to help you choose the right intention, to have the right inspiration, to work with integrity, to choose wisely with intelligence, and have a lifelong effort of intensity. All the others are simply nomenclatures, methods, and tools to attain these objectives. So if you don't know Sanskrit, if you get too confused by multiple use of nomenclatures of this yoga, this and that and everything, that's fine. Objective is to get this. Right? Just like when you are sick, you go to the hospital and some people choose allopathy. Others will say, no, not allopathy. I will go for homeopathy. Someone says, no, not allopathy, no, naturopathy. And someone says, nothing is working. I go to Tirupati. So whatever may be different, treatment forms, the different treatment forms are not as important as what is the objective. Objective is you want to be free from pain and you want to experience physical fitness. Freedom from pain and attainment of fitness is your goal. So Krishna is offering various methods. Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all of those things to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to everybody in this world to choose. Choose any of these treatment methods to get the right intention, to get the right inspiration, to get the right integrity, to get the right intelligence, and to get the right intensity. That's it. Other things are details. So therefore, because there are varieties of people and everybody has different choices of how they want to actually purify themselves internally, therefore various options are given. And so now the 5th chapter is called Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So Arjuna is again asking question, what should I do? Because 3 paths have been described. First, the path of action. Second, path of renunciation. But what Krishna is telling Arjuna is renunciation in action. So 3rd chapter was what? Karma Yoga. Again 5th chapter is Karma Yoga. So now you may wonder, why again and again? Because when a subject is difficult, and when does a subject become difficult? When the student is not interested. When the teacher is saying, but the student doesn't want to hear. So therefore repetition has to happen. So therefore, the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna is between a teacher and a student, and a resistant and reluctant student. Resistance and reluctance from the student's side makes repetition compulsory. So therefore, again, renunciation. Prabhupada told one of his disciples, he saw him in Vrindavan for a long time. He said, I'm seeing you for a long time in Vrindavan. He said, Prabhupada, I'm enjoying Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, but The purpose of your life is not to enjoy Vrindavan, but to serve Vrindavan. I have given you task to preach. How long you are going to stay here? Say, Prabhupada, if possible, forever. Prabhupada said, no, you should start preaching. So where will I go, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, you should go to, Sri Lanka and preach. That's a new area, nobody has preached there. This devotee said, Prabhupada, Sri Lanka, that's a very small country. Prabhupada said, okay, then go to Pakistan. He said, okay, I think Prabhupada, Sri Lanka is better. So when there is reluctance and resistance, then what can be done? So therefore, Arjuna is not getting this concept that there could be renunciation in action. And therefore, many practicing devotees also many times think there is sadhana and then there is management and seva. One is pleasure, other is pain. One is reward, other is punishment. No. So the whole idea is Krishna is trying to bridge these polar thinking within Arjuna's mind and trying to say that actually you need to have a continuum in your consciousness and do not compartmentalize your action from your intention. And therefore, there are 4 possible scenarios. 1, when there is low physical renunciation and there is low mental restraint. Low physical renunciation means high enjoyment, and low mental restraint means uncontrolled. So when one engages in uncontrolled sense gratification, what is the effect? Increase in entanglement. Second, there is low renunciation but high mental restraint. In such a scenario, one is engaged in the material world and is interested in spiritual growth because he has high mental restraint but low renunciation. Struggling in the process. Third, there is low mental restraint but high renunciation. There is a high degree of renunciation, physically, externally, but low mental restraint. So such a person is struggling with external renunciation. He is artificially repressed. He is degraded and deluded by a wild mind and will ultimately show symptoms of hypocrisy. And then there is high renunciation and high mental restraint. In such a scenario, one will remain with undistracted focus on spiritual reality. So therefore, we need both mental restraint and renunciation. Our habits have to be transformed accordingly. अयोग्य मोहि निवेदन करिते करि भय मोरे चैतन्य देह गोसाई होया सदै. Raghunath Das Goswami begs at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. I am unqualified, but please, I have this deep desire within my heart. Let me attain the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. More Chaitanya Deha Gosai Hoya Sadai. Please be merciful and allow me the shelter of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. And then Srila Raghunath Das Goswami clasps the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu and says, Mora Mathe Podadhuri Koraha Prasad Nirvighne Chaitanya Panya Koraha Ashirvad. Place your feet, your lotus feet upon my head. Give your grace, your divine grace, that I may attain Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without any obstacle. Nirvighne Chaitanya Paya Koraha Ashirvad. So Lord Nityananda Prabhu becomes the instrument for Raghunath Das Goswami to attain Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And so without the grace of the Guru, one cannot attain Krishna. And without serving and pleasing the Vaishnavas, one cannot attain the grace of the Gurus. And therefore, Lord Nityananda engages Raghunath Das Goswami in serving the devotees at Panihati Chiradahi Utsav. So Krishna is approached by Arjuna in the 5th chapter and he says, Sannyasam karmanam Krishna puna yogascha samsati yajsaya etayor ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Please explain to me what exactly is this relationship between renunciation and action. You want me to be renounced or you want me to act? So, at this point, Krishna explains to Arjuna what exactly is renunciation. Dhyeya sanitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Krishna says renunciation or renounced does not mean one who does not act, because activity is constant. You cannot stop activity because the mind is always active. Indriyani paranyahur indriyabhya paramana manasastu parabuddhi. This is the hierarchy. So the activity will constantly be there. And therefore, you have to actually purify your intention within. You are right now obsessed only with action because spiritualists, they view matter in 3 ways. First, they romanticize matter as a source of great pleasure. Even spiritualists like Charvaka Muni, who says somehow or the other get ghee, enjoy. Second, Jnanis, they demonize matter as a source of great trouble. But the devotees utilize matter as a means to the purpose of raising consciousness. So therefore, we have to have an instrumental view of matter. The more we focus on the higher purpose, the less the means to that purpose matters. So you have to focus on the higher purpose. So Arjuna is focused on action. I'm going to shoot, I'm going to fight, I'm going to kill. Krishna is telling, Arey Baba, don't focus on the action of killing. Focus on the purpose behind the killing. Okay, so don't be obsessed with the action, but focus on the purpose. Because action can either be inspired by ego, which is selfish. And Krishna is saying, the whole purpose of my speaking the Gita is to change your action from being selfishly inspired to be selflessly inspired. So just like during pandemic, if a certain place needs vaccine, the purpose is the vaccine must reach. The vaccine must reach that place. It does not make such a big difference whether the vaccine is carried in a bullock cart or an airplane. So therefore, the action of making that vaccine reach, the purpose is the vaccine must reach the patient, whichever way we take it. And therefore, Krishna is explaining this, performing Nishkama Karma Yoga that free you from bondage. So Nishkama Karma Yoga basically means you perform action, but with detachment. Detachment from the fruits. Detachment from your ego. You're doing it for the purpose of something selfless. So Krishna then explains in this series of verses. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijititma jitendriya sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvanna pinalipyate. Such a person engages in complete detached work, and that detached work ultimately purifies the heart. Just like a lotus, if it is in water, if that lotus leaf is on water, the water may lie on the lotus leaf, but the water does not rest on the lotus leaf, it falls off. So therefore, when you act, but with detachment, you are not subjected to reaction. Action may appear to be same, but the reaction is not there because the intention is selfless. Example is given, criminal is brought. Criminal is brought from the jail to the court for his hearing. As the criminal is coming, he sees that there is the judge also coming to the court. And the criminal starts thinking, I am going to court. Judge is also going to court. I am going in government vehicle. He is also going in government vehicle. He has a police guard. I also have police guard. I have 6. He has only 1. So why others are saluting him and then they are looking at me insultingly? So the action of going to the court is same, but both have opposite intentions. One is trying to protect the law, other is breaking the law. So therefore, the whole focus of the Bhagavad Gita is to help you manage your intention. So one devotee of Srila Prabhupada in Australia, excellent book distributor. Since today is Gita Jayanti and the Bhagavad Gitas, they are distributed by ISKCON devotees all over the world as part of their book distribution. And Prabhupada came to London, he was questioned and challenged. Swamiji, why you came to London? Prabhupada said the British have looted India for 300 years of all kinds of jewels, but they forgot to loot the most important jewel, Bhagavad Gita. I have come to do home delivery. And since then, till today, ISKCON has distributed 55 crore Bhagavad Gitas and books related to it. So naturally, in the month of December, across the whole world, all the ISKCON temples and devotees try their extra effort to reach the Gita to new people who have not yet received the Gita. So this devotee was very expert. He was like reaching out. In 1 hour, he could distribute several copies of Gita. So suddenly one gentleman approached him and said, I have been observing that you are distributing for last 1 hour and you managed to sell this Gita to hundreds of people who had no desire to buy it. They were absolutely not interested, but you managed to create that interest. I've been looking for a marketing vice president in my company. I want to hire you. Take my card. The devotee said, do you have Gita? First sold the Gita. Devotee distributor is Vyavasaya apne kar. She gave the Gita. He took the Gita. He said, I have given my number. Be in touch. After 1 week, this devotee called him and said, so, you took the Gita? Yeah. Are you interested to join me? So, yeah, I'm considering, but I want to send you another set, Bhagavatam. Over the next 3 to 4 weeks, this devotee managed to sell all the books which were published till then. And available. This was in the early 70s. So all the books had not been published, but whatever was there. And then this man said, Bhai, I have purchased so many books. What is your response to my offer? Are you interested to join? And the devotee said, you may see us selling, but we are not like regular corporate marketing salespeople. We are not here to sell for commercial reasons. We are simply trying to repay the debt towards our spiritual teachers for all the spiritual knowledge we have received from them. So that is the purpose when we are sharing this message with others. We are reciprocating with gratitude for what we have received. Shrinavata shraddhaya nityam grinatascha swacheshtitam kalena nati dirghena bhagavan vishate hrudi. Parikshit says, by studying this literature regularly, you develop faith. And in due course of time, Krishna comes within the heart. And so, Lord Krishna in the 5th chapter is explaining to Arjuna that you have to act, but with the intention of detachment. So then naturally Arjuna's question is, how do I become detached? Because it appears very difficult. I work for something and then suddenly someone else gets the benefit. How do I process it? So Krishna says the difficulty in detachment and the natural tendency towards attachment occurs because you think You are the only doer. But when you know that 3 people are involved, so if you participate in a quiz contest alone, then you get the credit. But if you participate with 3 other members in a team, then the trophy is shared with all the 3. Right? So that's the difference between somebody who wins a match in individual tennis versus someone who wins a cricket match or a football match, because it's a whole team. Only the captain of the team can't say, I won. No. Everybody was involved. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna, the problem with becoming detached is the conditioned soul thinks that life is a tennis match. But actually life is a football match. Which means that there are other players involved. You are not the only player. Who are the other players involved? The Jiva may be the one doer, but the Jiva is the doer in desiring. Once the Jiva desires, as soon as the Jiva desires, that desire is processed by the Paramatma. So the Lord in the heart is the other doer. And once the Paramatma processes that desire and sees, then the Paramatma decides whether the Jiva has the karma to fulfill that desire or not. Accordingly, the Paramatma will give sanction. And then once the Paramatma gives sanction, so Paramatma becomes the doer in sanctioning. So I desire, I want to lift my hand. As soon as I desire, I want to lift my hand, the Paramatma processes that desire and sees all of my previous millions of lifetimes of karma, and in the fraction of a second, the Paramatma comes to the conclusion that yes, he has the karma at this moment to fulfill that desire. And the Paramatma gives order to Prakriti, which is the cells in the body and the various connections within this body to facilitate. So the material energy facilitates the movement. So today I desire, I want to lift my hand. I'm able to fulfill that desire. But I don't know in future, in the 70s or 80s or 90s or whatever, how the karma will change. And at a certain point, I desire to lift my hand, but I have run out of that karma. And Paramatma tells the material energy, sorry. He will keep screaming, wanting to lift. Not allowed. And then doctors call it paralysis. We call it Paramatma's analysis. So that is what is the difference in studying the Gita. Right? And therefore, we do a lot of preaching in medical colleges, because we want our devotee doctors to be able to do both. So, when the Paramatma gives the sanction, so then the material energy or Prakriti facilitates. So the Jiva is the desiring doer, Paramatma is the sanctioning doer, and the Prakriti is the facilitating doer. These are the 3 different Prabhus. Na kartritvam, na karmani, lokasya srijati Prabhu, na karma phalas samyogam, svabhavastu pravartate. And therefore, he who is capable of performing all activities marvelously is called Prabhu. So that is one of the names for the Lord. So then, Krishna explains that these are the three doers. So the super soul is not, so somebody may say, oh, so you ask, why are you smoking cigarette? I am not smoking. Lord in my heart is smoking. Somebody may give like that. सब कुछ वही करवा रहे हैं. हाथ अपने आप जा रहा है. सिगरेट हाथ में निकल रहा है. अग्नि भी पंच महाभूत का ही है. ये सब उनकी लीला है. हम तो निमित्त हैं. सब वही करवा रहे हैं. India is full of philosophers. So don't be surprised, because I have heard many such, confident presentations. And when they present with confidence, if you are not sufficiently confident, you get bewildered. You will have to register for Gita course again to understand the 6 topics. So therefore, super soul is not responsible. Super soul is responsive. Is only responsive to your desire. And material nature does not impose, but material nature only proposes. So therefore, the conditioned soul, it only desires and succumbs to the desire. So conditioned soul, jiva, desires, succumbs to the desire. Super soul is responsive, not responsible. And material nature proposes, not imposes. Because material nature provides various objects here and there, and the soul sees, starts desiring, then the super soul will be responsive to that. So, it is therefore described that the self, with respect to a certain proposition, when there is an action, there is an inner impression. Again, when there is an action, there is a reinforced impression. And that impression goes on increasing. And that is what becomes part of habits. And so how do you get liberated? You get liberated by first understanding that the intentions of the Ishwar is not to put me in trouble. Because the crux of a relationship is your faith in the person's intention. If you doubt somebody's intentions, you will never want a relationship with that person. So when the jiva is going through suffering and the jiva is thinking, he is responsible. Lord is responsible. He is only putting me in this kind of situation. Then the devotee will always be in an angry mood. A person will be in an angry mood towards Lord. Because you are thinking, he is always putting me in trouble. So he is explaining here that no, na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati. Are Baba, he is simply facilitator. Right? If you press the button in your laptop and then you press on the Amazon add to cart, and then you press whatever 3,000 rupees and process your credit card, and you get the receipt for 3,000 rupees. You can't be angry with the computer. 3,000 rupees. Because you have pressed. You have made the first choice. So then you realize, oh, computer is very neutral. And all of us know that, therefore everybody has very good relation with their gadgets. The gadget is neutral. So Lord is saying, I am neutral. And once you understand and develop faith in my neutrality, that is the first step to developing a positive relationship. So in this series of verses in the 5th chapter, from verse number 10, 11 to 17, is very important because Krishna establishes very logically his neutrality in the midst of all the actions which we are performing. And even in devotee relationships, many times our conflicts happen because we develop doubts about somebody's intention. And we feel he is responsible. That person is responsible for this. And therefore, you cannot have a proper relationship with that person till that doubt is eradicated. So therefore, it's a relationship issue. And here is what Krishna is explaining. That when you develop that faith, then that person is able to see that the same neutral Lord is sitting within everyone's heart as Paramatma. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmani Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shopakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Then he is able to see the Lord everywhere. So communism means to impose material equality by political means. Capitalism means to establish inequality with respect to the financial reality. But the Gita vision is to acknowledge material diversity but assert spiritual equality. That's the whole idea. And so, Krishna explains, Arjuna asks, okay, but how long will it take for us to control all these urges? Because it is all these urges which is preventing me from actually developing a relationship with that neutral Lord who is within. How long will this tug of war? Because material nature will continue proposing various ways to enjoy. And I will keep desiring and succumbing to that desire or what? How long this fight will go on? What is the retirement age for that fight? Krishna says, Shaknoti haiva yah sodhum prak sharira vimokshana kama krodhodbhavam vegam Sahajukta Sasukhinara. Krishna says this fight and tug of war with lust, greed, anger, etc. will continue till death. Prak Sharira Vimokshana, till the time of death. Kama Krodha Udbhavam Vegam Sahayukta Sasukhi. These tendencies will keep pulling you from within. And therefore Patanjali says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Habits means previous memories of experience of pleasure. Past memories of experience of pleasure is defined as habit. So Krishna concludes this 5th chapter by saying that you can be liberated, Arjuna, by continuously focusing that I am not the enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer of various sacrifices, austerities, and he is the supreme controller and supreme proprietor. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatvanam shantim richyate. Understanding this, you will experience ultimate shanti or peace within your heart. And therefore, all of these habits, they continuously bombard us. And enduring spiritual happiness can only be established when the soul establishes eternal relationship with Krishna. We are defined by our purpose. Materialist seeks pleasure externally, and a spiritualist seeks pleasure internally. And therefore, collecting and consuming sense objects leads to distress. Connecting with the super soul and contributing to his cause leads to happiness. So we have to transform our tendency for collecting and consuming sense objects and create a new set of thought process of habits for connecting and contributing. Because these habits are not easy to overcome. And so Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, Utha amogha tome lao Krishna nama ochire koribe tomar koribe Bhagavan. Very soon Krishna will deliver you. Get up and chant Krishna's holy names. Lord Chaitanya tells, Amogha Prabhu Ashvasan kore Sparshi Targatram Sarvabhauma Sambandhe Tumi Mura Sneha Patram. Because you are related to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya as a son-in-law, you are very dear to me. Yes, you have a habit of criticizing. You have a habit of finding fault. But chant the holy names, refocus and repurpose. Then those habits can be transformed. Raghunath Das Goswami is begging the Lord, I want to give up everything and come to you, my dear Lord. Rakshake rahat mui ke mone chutiba ke mone prabhur sange nila chole jaba. I want to give up everything and come to you, my Lord, in Puri. Lord Chaitanya says, no. Don't be obsessed with externals. Transform yourself internally. Sthire hoya ghare jao nahao batul krame krame pailok bhava sindhukul. Be steady. Go home. Don't be mad. In due course of time, by following steadily this process, you will come to me. While swimming, you don't have to do anything out of the way. Just keep using the same strokes. Those strokes which took you a few feet will take you a few meters, will take you a few kilometers. Follow the process diligently. You don't need anything dramatic in spiritual life. You need to be diligent. So Lord Chaitanya says, Antare nishtha karo bahye loka vyavahar অচিরে করিবে কৃষ্ণ তোমার উদ্ধার. Think of Krishna within the heart. Antare nishtha kare. Bahya loka vyavahar, externally you can continue with your activities, no problem. Again, important thing is not your external activities. You have to transform your internal consciousness. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is inspiring Raghunath Das Goswami to continue practicing the process. And therefore, transformation of habits is paramount. The 6th chapter of Gita brings into focus another method of controlling the mind and internal transformation, which is Dhyana Yoga. So as I said, habit is previous experience of pleasure, memory. The memory of previous experience. So it keeps pulling at the mind. When I was studying at IIT in 1992, there was a lecture and this devotee was preaching and he spoke the story of Jagai and Madhai, how he got delivered. Both of them got delivered by Lord Chaitanya. And by seeing that, whole of Bengal got delivered. Whole of Bengal got attracted. That we can also become transformed if Jagai and Madhai can get transformed. By hearing that pastime, I felt inspired. I thought, let me bring some of the wildest people from the hostel for the program. If they become transformed, whole hostel will become transformed. So I went to one of my friends who was a heavy addict of drinking alcohol. He was obsessive alcoholic. So I went to him and I said, this Saturday you have to come with me. He said, where? I said, for a program. He said, what program? I said, Gita lecture. He said, are you drunk? Whom are you calling? Me? He showed his bottle. He said, what are you talking about? I am interested in this spirit. So I said, no. Every person has a future. You come. He said, okay, I will come on one condition. I will bring the bottle with me. I will bring the bottle with me. Will the ISKCON people allow? So I was confused. This was the first time I was calling somebody for the program. So I thought I'll call the temple and ask that my friend wants to come for lecture with bottle. So then I thought they'll tell me, you also don't come. We are not so desperate. So I was very new, I didn't know what to do. I said, okay, anyway you come. Whatever you want to bring, you bring. So he came on that day. He had already drunk half the bottle. So he had a smaller one, finished half. And then he came. As he was entering the room, I said, you brought it all the way till here, but out of respect, don't bring it inside. Keep this bottle above the door on the ledge, on the window above. He looked at me and said, ISKCON wala pee to nahi jayega. I said, come on. These people are so strict. They don't drink tea and coffee also. So he said, okay. He kept it. Then he said, in the end you will get food, no? I said, I have one condition. You will not open your mouth. Because the smell will come. He said, yeah, okay. Sat down. So the preacher came and he was very happy to see one new person. But every time only 2 people would come, and it was 3. So it was a substantial percentage increase in the net crowd. So, I said, he looked at this new person, "What is your name?" And I said, "His name is so and so." "Which branch he is in?" I tell, "He's in so and so engineering." "Which year?" I gave the reply. So he was looking at me and I am asking him the question. So I said, "My friend is very shy." So then lecture began. Middle of the lecture, my friend hits me like this. So what happened? He says, "Food." I said, "In ISKCON, after they give lecture, only they will give you food. You have to sit and hear." He was so impatient, he got up, went out, finished the bottle. Okay. Separation. Then after the whole thing, then this preacher, he said, "Do you want mala?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Are you going to do it?" It's a very serious commitment. He's asking me. He took the mala, went to the hostel, kept mala in one hand, bottle in another hand, and he told the whole hostel, "I have joined ISKCON." Everybody was making fun of me. It took me 1 week to convince him to give the mala back. So many times people say, why should we come to satsang? Why should we come to an ISKCON temple? And 11 million people, they die every year due to alcoholism. And you put together the deaths and destruction and loss to economy caused by smoking and drugs and suicides and all of that put together, the world is going berserk. So therefore, we need a process by which people can control their own mind and their own senses. And so one such proposal is being made here by Krishna as part of Dhyana Yoga. Soul is the root of consciousness and mind is the route, R-O-U-T-E, the way towards that consciousness. And so as part of Dhyana Yoga, he mentions Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. The Ashtanga Yoga, 8-fold yoga system. And yoga ultimately means Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, to stop the material movement of the mind, to stop the distractions to pop up within the screen of the mind. And material disconnection for spiritual connection. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaivatmano bandhur atmaivarupuratmana. Mind is your best friend. Mind is our worst enemy. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaimatmanajita anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatramaha. So, the mind can be made one's best friend by controlling. By controlling the mind, that mind can become one's best friend. And therefore, Krishna explains Yoga Arudha and Yoga Aruruksha. One who's a beginner on the path, and when beginner on the path reaches till the stage of Pratyahara, he is known as Yoga Aruruksha, beginner. And only after reaching Yoga Rudha stage, then the further details in the 6th chapter can be followed. So for majority of the people, the details described of going to the forest and Shuchau Deshi Pratishtha Stiram Asmanatana, all of those things will not even apply till you reach the stage. And what is that stage? How do you identify? When you are able to have a certain degree of equanimity in your mind. When you are actually able to distinguish between what is good for you and what is not good for you. And all those details are described. Sama loshtra ashma kanchana. When you are able to see gold and stone as same. That's not easy. If someone hits you with stone, you become angry. If someone hits you with a gold biscuit, you will say, I am so fallen, I need to be beaten more. So therefore Prabhupada calls it burden of love. Burden of love means if you like something, you don't mind going through the pain for it. So therefore, this yoga with the impersonalist understanding describes God is unlimited, but his form is limited. But the formlessness doesn't make something unlimited. So formlessness derives the source of the world of the thing that is, deprives the source of the world of the thing that is most attractive in this world, which is the form. Form is the most attractive thing. If the Supreme is made devoid of that form, then you're actually losing on the most attractive part of the Supreme. So therefore, that's a whole discussion. But the stages of Ashtanga Yoga practice, he explains that to enhance the Pratyahara process, what you should do, Yuktahara Viharasya Yukta Cheshtasya Karmasu Yukta Swapnavabodhascha Yogo Bhavati Dukkhaha. That one has to be regulated in one's eating, in one's recreation, one's work, and one's sleep. All of this is very much important, and when you do that, then you are able to control your mind. Then you are able to control the restlessness in the mind. They were celebrating Narsingha Chaturdashi in one temple in the late 1960s in California. And then they had made a very, very attractive carob cake offered to the deities. So everybody in the artis, an offering was done and the darshan was there, and they were seeing, oh wow, this seems to be very attractive, the Mahaprasad. So everybody was contemplating. When you see something, you start contemplating. And then you start becoming obsessed. So they sat for prasadam, and the carrot cake was served first. The first person jumped on it and placed it in his mouth. The cook by mistake had forgotten to add sugar. So the cake looked attractive, but it did not taste the way the person expected. He immediately pulled out the remaining cake from his mouth and looked at the cake with shock. Because when something doesn't satisfy you as per your expectation, the first response is shock. Because you've already contemplated that this is going to give me pleasure. But that relationship is not giving me pleasure, this relationship is giving me pain. It is shocking. I thought this object looks beautiful. And whatever looks beautiful must give bliss. So that was the first shock. But then after shock, the conditioned soul doesn't accept so easily. The first response is denial. So he thought, maybe I tasted the cake from a wrong side. Turns around the cake. Tries from another side. Because already there is a relationship. You can't give up. You have to try different ways. Try it from another angle. From another angle again. Same taste. Then he thought, what? Timing is not right. He placed it down, started with rice and dal, kept looking at the cake. Because he thought after some time, there may be change. But the most important ingredient which gives sweetness, the sugar, was not there. So whatever gymnastics you do, the experience is not going to change. So the material world is filled with objects which advertise and promise you joy. When you develop a relation with them, it is simply an advertisement. It's a proposal. But when you actually start connecting with those objects, the 360 degree of experience makes you convinced that this is dukkhalayam shashvatam. So therefore, what makes our mind obsessed with that is the hope that something will change. So therefore, the root cause of that attachment is mind. And so, Krishna says, Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalamassthiram tatas tato niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasham nayat. Whenever the mind goes here and there, catch it and bring it back. Again it distracts, again bring it back. That is the process in the Ashtanga Yoga system. So the way Krishna describes that Ashtanga Yoga system, that first of all, Ashtanga Yoga is possible in its authentic sense only for sannyasis. There is no grihastha option in Ashtanga Yoga. Number two, there is no city 2 BHK, 3 BHK option for practicing Ashtanga Yoga. Go to forest. Right? So all of those things make Arjuna a little bewildered. He's thinking, I'm a fighter and I'm like this, I'm like that, and the process Krishna is explaining seems to be a little extreme. So Arjuna asks the question, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavardhidam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. My dear Krishna, it appears that my mind is my biggest enemy. Why? Because my mind is restless, chanchalam, it is reasonless, pramati, it is ruthless, it is balavat, and it is relentless, dridham. And so, how do I control this mind? Vayor iva sudushkaram. How can I become mindful? Mindful of the situation, which is the outer scene. Mindful of my emotions, which is the inner screen of the mind. And the inner seer, which is different from the mind. So Arjuna has this very, very important question. That how do I control my mind, which is completely restless, relentless, ruthless, and reasonless. Is it possible to control this mind? Therefore, when we are practicing this process of Ashtanga Yoga requires one to be extremely austere. And because it is not possible for someone to actually practice this, so in this age of Kali, Srila Prabhupada again and again recommends in his purports of the 6th chapter, Bhakti Yoga. Many people, they have raised objections. 6th chapter topic is Dhyana Yoga, and your Swami Prabhupada is in all purports glorifying Sankirtan, glorifying Bhakti Yoga. Krishna in the shloka is saying, have half closed eyes and focus on the tip of your nose. And Prabhupada is writing in purport, chant Hare Krishna. Because Prabhupada is recommending that which is the conclusion of Krishna's recommendation also. Because in the end of the 6th chapter, Krishna is saying, Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana. What is antaratmana? Atma means body. Atma means senses. Atma means mind. Atma means intelligence. But antaratma means soul. Antaratmana. So when the senses are used as instruments, it is Karma Yoga. When mind is used as instrument, it is Jnana Yoga. When intelligence is used as instrument, it is Ashtanga Yoga. When the soul becomes the instrument, it is Bhakti Yoga. So the word Antaratmana refers to Bhakti Yogi. So therefore that Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana Shraddhavan labhate yomam sameh yuktatama. That person who practices this yoga process using the soul as an instrument of connection is the yuktatama, highest. So Krishna is recommending. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, following Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example, has made the practice of Krishna consciousness very simple for people in this age of Kali. Why the temples are there? Not so that everybody comes and stays in the temple. The temples are there so that we can train you and teach you how you can convert your home into a temple. When Lord Chaitanya visits the house of Advaita Acharya has prepared 700 kilos of rice and 500 vegetables for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And Lord Chaitanya looks at that. Madhya pita ghrita sita shalya nerastu chauridike vyanjana donga aramugdha soup. There is this mountain of high quality rice which is sparkling, and on top of that rice a small crater is created, and that is filled with golden complexion pure cow's ghee. That pond of ghee soaks within the rice and transforms the color of the rice to yellow, golden. So it looks like a golden mountain surrounded by hundreds of vegetables which are offered to the deities of Advaita Acharya in their home. Today is Ekadashi. Tomorrow is Ekadashi. Today is a confusion dashi. There is some technical adjustment. But when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees that, he glorifies Advaita for taking care of his home deities so well. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies Advaita Acharya as an ideal grihastha who is taking care of the deities so well. And he says, Aiche anna je Krishna ke korae bhojan janme janme shire dharo tahar charan. Mahaprabhu says, connecting with Krishna is not difficult. You have to eat, so you have to make bhojan. But if you take that bhojan and offer it to the Lord, simply by that process of offering, the bhojan becomes part of your bhajan. If someone offers such food to Krishna, janme janme shire dharo tahar charan. Life after life, I take the dust of the feet of such a devotee upon my head. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying. And therefore, Rupa Goswami Pad has given the 5 potent forms of devotional service: chanting, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, visiting holy places, serving Vaishnavas and worshipping the deities. And therefore Krishna explains to Arjuna, yes, controlling the mind is difficult, but it is possible by 2 things: practice and detachment. Asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena changrahyate. Through abhyas and vairagya. So the process of sadhana bhakti as defined by Srila Rupa Goswami combines the vairagya element within the abhyas. By positively engaging your senses, automatically you become detached. So that's the idea. When we were in Vrindavan Yatra first time, when we went to Govardhan also, 2008. So on the Govardhan Puja day, we decided that we will make lot of bhoga items, and all the devotees were given opportunity to have small stove and prepare bhoga. So hundreds of devotees were engaged in cooking and offering. And so when the final offering came in front of Giriraj in Vrindavan, Girirajji, it was like hundreds of items. And some of the items were filling several baskets. When I saw this whole spread, I was thinking, how will we finish all this? How will we distribute all this? And I was contemplating, maybe we'll have to call some parikrama people and distribute amongst them. This will go on till 2 days, 3 days. But once all of the offering was done, the arti was done, when the prasad was taken back to the pandal and we started distributing, within 1.5 to 2 hours, the whole thing was finished. I underestimated the power of the Vaishnava Sangha. And then there was some local person who was supporting us, helping us. So I called him and I wanted to give him some Mahaprasad. So I started searching. I couldn't find one pot. Whichever pot I went to, finished. I was bewildered. I said, "Arey Baba, I want one pot." Nowhere. The speed and the thoroughness with which everything was completely honored, nothing remained. Finally, I saw one devotee about to begin his prasad. He was sitting with his plate and he was surrounded by 10 pots. He himself appeared like Giriraju. 10 to 12 pots all around him. And about to begin. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll just take a pot from him. So, but I went. I should have directly asked, "Give one pot, I want to give." Instead of that, I made a mistake. I asked him indirectly. I asked him, "Will you be able to finish all this?" He looked at me and said, "That is my problem." "What is your problem?" I said, no, I want to give one pot to us. Then ask like that. Take it. Don't question my capacity. Forgive my offenses. Especially just before honoring, you should not agitate anybody. So therefore, Krishna himself performed this pastime not just to defeat Indra and to have loving reciprocation with Brajavasis, but to create a very memorable festival. And therefore, as I said, habits is memory of past experience of pleasure. So the process of Bhakti Yoga embeds effortlessly experiences of music, kirtan, experiences of dance in kirtan, experience of sitting and hearing and conversing with devotees about Krishna, and experiences of exchange of food. These experiences are embedded with so much of pleasure that they replace the old memories automatically. So therefore Krishna says, Madgaten Antar Atmana. And therefore, it is described here how to be more mindful with persistence. Keep redirecting with intelligence. Learn to persuade the mind with transcendence. Give the higher taste. When you say persistence, so the mind is like a child, will take time to grow up. And therefore, be patient and persistent. The intelligence has to be like a mother who keeps feeding, focusing, guiding and guarding the mind. Because mind is like a child. So the intelligence has to be like a mother to keep feeding, focusing, guarding and guiding the mind. And the all attractiveness of Krishna helps the mind find its rest in Krishna. So therefore, Krishna concludes the 6th chapter with this beautiful understanding. Just before the last verse, a few verses, Arjuna asks a very important topic to Krishna. Kachinno bharagudhrashtas chinna brahm ivanashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudo brahmanapati. My dear Lord, if I take to this process and in due course of time I become deviated, I am not able to complete this spiritual path, but I am not able to experience material pleasure also. So it's like neither here nor there. So spiritual failure can have 3 possibilities. First, one will run out of time. So one can always resume at another place in a spiritually favorable setting. And Krishna explains this in 6.42. अथवा योगिनाम eva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadishvisham. One can get birth in some devotee family. One can actually be born in a devotee family and get that benefit. Second, one will be provided a facility which is full of abundant material enjoyment, so one will neither experience any kind of economic deprivation, no financial problem, and because one will be cultured, one will not experience any major relationship problem. Lack of culture makes one behave like vulture. And therefore, all kinds of conflicts manifest. So Krishna explains that prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brishno vijayati. So shuchinam shrimatam is this, that one will be born in a family with wealth and culture. And then he says, in such a situation, a person continues on his journey from where he has left off. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. And gradually he attains towards perfection in this direction. So therefore, even if one has experienced some kind of so-called break in his journey, they will continue and they will somehow experience automatic attraction towards Krishna consciousness. So when we are preaching Krishna consciousness in various places, spreading the message of the Gita, there are souls who are traveling, the souls who are carrying that fragrance, memory of fragrance of the relationship with Krishna from previous lives. When they smell a similar fragrance of Krishna, they immediately get attracted. So we have to make sure that we are out there giving that option to people. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was asked by his devotees that, how did we connect with you and how is this Krishna consciousness movement spreading? So Prabhupada said, this is happening by my prayer and desire, and you have been sent by my spiritual master. And you have been connected in some way in the previous lives, and everybody is just coming together. Prabhupada was in Jaipur. One of his disciples was a lady disciple. She was hardly 19 years old. She organized a beautiful program, and Prabhupada was so happy. And Prabhupada was glorifying her in front of a lot of local, prominent people in that city. One of the people there in that assembly suddenly spoke and said, yes, Swamiji, she may have some knowledge of kirtan, but I don't think she has sufficient knowledge of scripture, shastra. Your disciples, they are good if just chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That is easy. But real spirituality, shastra, I don't think. Prabhupada, what do you mean? This girl, she knows all the Upanishads. And that devotee girl was bewildered. Because she knew only 5 shlokas of Ishopanishad. She had memorized. Prabhupada, without giving a chance, turned to her and said, chant all the Upanishads. And she was totally bewildered. She was thinking, in front of all these prominent members, I'll be insulted. And Prabhupada will be insulted. Prabhupada has so confidently told me, declared that she knows everything. She started chanting the first shloka, second shloka, third shloka. By the time she came to fourth shloka, her heart was beating heavily. She finished the fifth shloka. As soon as she completed fifth shloka, Prabhupada said, enough, that means you know everything. So, one of the members said, Swamiji, yeah, she chanted okay, but her Sanskrit, her pronunciation was not proper. Prabhupada said, but her renunciation is great. At this age, she's coming all the way here from the USA to India to spread the glories of Gita and Sanatan Dharma. What are you doing? And they said, okay. So therefore, when we spread Krishna consciousness, you take this Gita and you share it with somebody. Don't judge anybody by their externals, because you never know who's sitting there. A soul who's traveling from millions of lifetimes in their spiritual journey. So now Krishna concludes this chapter by saying that the knowledge carries from one life to another, and the embodied knowledge feels attraction to transcendence. Focus on gaining the spiritual vision and connection, even if we fail materially or spiritually, we will fail well, because we will only continue. Now, having described that the best amongst yogis is one who is madgaten antara, one who is offering his soul directly to me, yuktatama. So Krishna, without waiting for Arjuna to ask, because Krishna is eager to speak about bhakti, without even waiting for Arjuna to ask question, he starts explaining. How does the process of bhakti begin? The process of bhakti begins by hearing in the association of devotees. Maya satta mana partha yogam yunjan madam shriyam asamshayam samagram mam yatha gyasyasi tatshrinu. Prabhupada quoted some verses multiple times. The highest number of verses quoted by Srila Prabhupada was Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe and this particular verse. Exact number, I don't remember, but one of the two was number 1. Tachshanu, here. So therefore, the human form of life is very rare. In human form of life, to get association is rarer, and in that association to get opportunity to hear is very rare. Vayam dhanya tamaloke guropi kshatra bandhavam vayam pibamo muhustotta punyam Krishna kathamritam. Parikshit Maharaj, as he is hearing the 10th canto, just before the Brahma Vimohan Leela begins, because 10th canto began at the end of 3rd day. So almost 3 days over, 3.5 days, another 3.5 days remaining. So someone who is close to death, guaranteed death is coming in a person's life in next 3.5 days. And he says, Vayam dhanyatama. Oh Shukadeva Goswami, we are the most fortunate. Dhanyatama. So who is fortunate? Who is more fortunate? And who is most fortunate? One who gets Vaishnava Sangha is fortunate. In Vaishnava Sangha, one who gets the opportunity to hear Krishna Katha is more fortunate. One who gets to hear repeatedly Krishna Katha in Vaishnava Sangha is most fortunate. So how many of you are getting chance to hear repeatedly in your life? If you don't come, you will get a call from somebody. Why are you not coming? So you are most fortunate. Because you have devotees to chase you and follow you up. And make sure you manifest. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj is revealing the perception of fortune and misfortune from the perspective of Srimad Bhagavatam. Life and death, prolonging life is not considered fortune by Parikshit. Or influence of death is not considered misfortune by Parikshit Maharaj. But getting opportunity to hear, that is considered fortune. So therefore, Krishna says, Asamshayam samagram mam yatha gyasyasi tat shrinu. You understand Krishna's glories by hearing. Yata shrinvato paityaratir vitrishna sattvam cha shuddhyati achirena pumsam bhaktim harautat Purushe cha sakhyam tadevaharam vadamanyase chet. Parikshit Maharaj says, by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing Krishna Katha, 5 effects manifest in the hearer. Subtly. First, aratir, distaste goes away by hearing. Because initially, we are very eager to hear only about ourselves in conditioned life. So, hearing about Krishna, it is not a matter of taste. So, there is distaste. I went to somebody's house, stayed there, and next day morning they said, why don't you give Bhagavatam class? I said, okay, take out 6th canto. So they brought their entire Bhagavatam set and they started removing the plastic in front of me. I said, when did you get this Bhagavatam set? They said, oh, a few years back. I'm trying to remember when. I said, you never opened? He said, no, we were waiting for you only. So, the books are there. In fact, today you don't even need physical books. I was giving a lecture in, IIM Nagpur the other day. And I was giving a case study of BBT. And I said, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust International is one of the few publishing houses in the world which has managed to sell 550 million physical copies of its books in spite of having an entire open source website called vedabase.io where every content is available free online. Can anyone share any other case study of a publishing house which gives content free? And I told them, log in vedabase.io right now. free. You purchase Bhagavatam set 6,000 rupees. Still, you will have people purchasing. Because Krishna is all attractive. It's an interesting point. Vedabase.io. If you log in, all the books are there. And nowadays, so many other sites are there where so many Gaudiya literatures, Acharyas, commentary, this, that. There is no dearth of resources. When I was studying Gita in 94, 95 and all, there was no study guide available. There was no study guide available. I did not know what is Bhakti Shastri. I heard about Bhakti Shastri, asked somebody in the temple, let me go to Vrindavan, Mayapur, study Bhakti Shastri because I'm finding it difficult to get connections of all these things. They said, what you're studying in the daytime, evening, going and giving lectures, that is Bhakti Shastri. And that devotee told me, you are beyond Bhakti Shastri. You relax here. 2-3 hours in kitchen and evening preaching. That is real Bhakti Shastri. So, without the study guide, it was very difficult to understand. 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga. 5th chapter, again Karma Yoga. Action in Krishna consciousness. And this and this and this and this. It was a lot of difficulty. Then first time Guruji Prabhu's book I saw, Surrender Unto Me. That gave some hint. Oh, this is what it is. And then Bhanu Maharaj's books and so many other literatures are available. The newer generation of devotees, they quote from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, left, right and center, and I said, oh wow, what a luxury. Because we didn't have those, we had time, but we didn't have those access to the resources. Now we have the resources, now I don't have that much time. So during lockdown, we had organized in Eco Village continuous lectures from the Bhagavatam, 1st canto to 12th canto. And some of these devotees had studied Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries thoroughly, and I really enjoyed hearing them for the first time in great detail. So nowadays resources are unlimited, and you just, your smartphone, that's it. Everything is right there. The best of Krishna and the best of Maya, both is there. So you don't even have to carry all the books with you. You can just study right there. But the eagerness to hear and study, that comes by the grace of Krishna. So Krishna therefore then explains that if you want to be attracted to me, you should know that very few actually get attracted to this process, because Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yatati. Very few. So they will say, it is so difficult, why should we try? You tried for IIT, you tried for UPSC, you tried for so many exams, knowing the statistics very well. That means the tendency to try for something which is difficult is there. So why not this? Somebody asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, if at the end of life you realize there is no Krishna, what will you do? Prabhupada said, okay, by chance, theoretically assuming, if there is no Krishna, whole life in our association of devotees, we had excellent katha, we had excellent music, we had delicious food, we enjoyed. So at least we had a good time. But my question to you, sir, is, if there is Krishna, what will you do? Where will you go? And what is your destination? So you better think about that. So therefore, the energies of the Lord have to be understood. So Krishna says, Bhumirapo analo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankara eti yamme bhinna prakritirashtada. earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and force. The Pancha Mahabhut. So 12 years, 13 years ago when we started the Govardhan Eco Village, sustainability and eco-friendly was not so prominent word in India. But thanks to bio-environmental solutions from Bangalore, Chitra Vishwanath architect, I would come here almost 50 to 70 times. I have come in 2009 to 12 period, 13 period. And gradually we created a sustainable, construction ecosystem, and now we are accredited to 5 United Nations agencies: UN Environment Program, UN Economic and Social Council, United Nations Committee for Combating Desertification, United Nations Biodiversity Council, and then the whole world of sustainability, climate change mitigation and environmentalism opened up. And now Prime Minister Modi has launched this new initiative which he calls it Lifestyle for Environment. And the entire Lifestyle for Environment initiative is based on the Pancha Mahabhut and how they need to be respected. And so recently on Govardhan Puja Day, there was an event organized by government of Madhya Pradesh. It was a state organized Govardhan Puja. And the theme was how all our festivals, traditional festivals, have within them the principle of respecting nature as Lord's energy. Like that. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada established Bhaktivedanta Institute, BI. Why? To show the connection between science and spirituality and religion. So United Nations is a science and data-backed organization. It's there on their website everywhere. They say whatever we research and publish is based on science and data. In 2017, United Nations launched a new vertical and they called it UN Faith for Earth. What is that? They said 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, we are able to see that we cannot mitigate, we cannot reverse it. The speed with which degradation is happening, we see that we will not be able to arrest the change in global temperature within 1.5 degree. We are losing the race. Therefore, UN is publishing the best data. The scientists are publishing the best, most authentic research and data. But all that information is not creating transformation in people's habits and choices. So the UN is approaching all religious leaders and requesting the religious leaders, please assist us in sharing with all of your followers how they must lead an earth-friendly lifestyle. And therefore, they started this UN Faith for Earth, saying that we may be science and data backed, but we also see value in collaborating with religion. So automatically UN has declared the synthesis between science and religion by establishing this. And across the world they have appointed different spiritual leaders in Christian tradition, Islamic tradition, Judaic tradition, Hindu tradition as Faith for Earth counselor. And in 2020, I was also appointed as a UN Faith for Earth counselor to share this message of respecting environment along with the message of Gita and Bhagavatam. That's what I'm doing. So when I came to the temple, Bhaktivinoda Prabhu met me and he said that, a group of devotees inspired by him are working on this initiative here. And I think it's a very important initiative. And you must have followed the news that from December 1st, India has taken over as the presidency for G20. And if you look into that tagline, one of the themes which is mentioned is based on the principle of Pancha Mahabhut. And therefore various events will happen all through the year, showcasing some of the initiatives India has been taking to create S3 impact. Spiritual impact, sustainable impact, and social impact. And therefore, when Krishna explains that these are the different energies of mind, a devotee, because he respects Krishna, he will also respect Krishna's energies. And so he says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya sarvam Mai sarvamidam proktam sutre manigana iva. That I am the unseen thread which is tying up everything together. So then Krishna starts describing how he is all pervading. He is the taste of water. Anta kalecha attains to me without fail. So how do you remember Krishna? In second chapter already Krishna says, Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi. Have business-like professionalism. What is a businessman thinking? Increasing income, decreasing expense. Increasing income, maximizing income, minimizing expense. So then net profit. So Krishna is saying the net profit is Krishna's remembrance. How does it come? Maximize absorption in Krishna. Minimize distraction. So maximizing absorption is your income. Distractions are all expense. So at the end of your 24 hours, you close the balance sheet for the day. How was today? How much was absorption, remembrance, and how much was forgetfulness? Net remembrance minus forgetfulness is your profit for the day. Like that, do it for the week. If the week is showing major loss, and then you do that for the whole month, see, suddenly they can't declare we have become $1 billion firm. You can't suddenly turn. So what is published is cumulative. So therefore, by hearing these words, many devotees feel very happy. Antakale. Antakale 100%. Antakale we both should remember. Huh? Right now, let's watch World Cup. Antakale. Some student I asked, who's your favorite character in Shastra? He said, Ajamil. So, koi one bhi So, Antakale means that how has been your day? So that is what is called Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi. Apply business-like professionalism in making your profit calculation. You can't say, I'm running a business. What is your income? I don't know. What is your expense? God knows. So then only he will know when your business is closing down. So therefore, then he explains remembering me by Yoga Mishra Bhakti and explains the process how yogis remember. Then he explains how you can remember me by pure bhakti. Ananya chetah sadatam yomam smarati nityasha tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yogina. Always remember me, because karma mada means action. But reality is both karma and deva. Karma means a warning. That is by the way of those factors. And for you, for the yogi to plan for the exact departure date, they have points of time, you remember me. So whatever moment is your death, whether it is Uttara, everything ultimately is concerned with serving Krishna in this manner. So the 9th chapter begins by describing the most rich Raja Vidya, Raja Udyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. So what does it mean to know Krishna? It says no envy of Krishna nor important. He only sanctions. And therefore, the human will is founded in the divine will, facilitated and fulfilled in the divine will. And he explains the Aishwarya Gyan Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. Everything is happening under the direction of my energies. And therefore, it is described, Krishna now comes to that section where he says that this most confidential knowledge cannot be understood by avajananti ma, know about this. And so, who can understand me? Mahatmanastu ma, all of these characteristics. Aiche prema, aiche nritya, aiche haridhvani, kahan nahi dekhi aiche, kahan. When Prataputra Maharaj sees Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees, and he says, I have never seen anything like this. What is this kirtan? Bhattacharya kahe, ei madhura bachan, Chaitanya srishti ei prema sankirtan. Sarabham Bhattacharya says, this beautiful sound vibration is brought from the spiritual world by Lord Chaitanya. It is known as Kale Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtan. It is not avatar, it is avatari. Krishna himself has come. And only once in a day of Brahma he comes. Just after his appearance, Krishna himself is distributing. He is not distributing Tarak Brahmana, Yajneshanaran, Krishna Vishnu, Nirashrayam Mam, Jagadisha Raksha. This is one of the Tarak Brahmanam for Samyuga. Just imagine if you do 16 rounds of this. Hare Murare, Hare Murare, Hare Hare. You can believe that. So Krishna himself is coming. And it is not Tarak Brahmana, this is Parak. This is giving directly Prema. So that gift of Prema is given only once in billions of years. When Krishna himself comes in Dwapar Yuga, just after that, when Lord Chaitanya comes, only that time that mantra gives direct prema. So we are receiving gift of a millennium. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Yagya tare kore aradhana, Saito sumedha ar kolihat jana. So he's saying, anybody who worships Sankirtan Yajna, through Sankirtan Yajna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the most intelligent. And therefore, this verse 13 and 14 come at a very interesting juncture in Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 1 in Bhagavad Gita has 46 verses. Chapter 2, 72 verses. Chapter 3, 43 verses. Chapter 4, 42 verses. Chapter 5, 29 verses. Chapter 6, 47 verses. Chapter 7, 30 verses. Chapter 8, 28 verses. Chapter 9, first 12 verses. So if you add all of this, all the verses till chapter 8 and then the 12 verses of chapter 9, it becomes 349 verses. Chapter 18 has 78 verses, 17 has 28 verses, 16 has 24 verses. Chapter 15 has 20 verses, 14 has 27 verses, 13 has 35 verses, 12 has 20 verses, 11 has 55 verses, 10 has 42 verses. And then you come from the 34th verse of 9th chapter and you come till 15th verse of the 9th chapter, it becomes 349 verses. So 349 verses in the first 9 chapters till 12th verse, and then from 15th verse to last 18.78, 349 verses. In between these two verses, 9.13, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakriti ashrita. Krishna invokes the grace of Srimati Radharani, the internal energy, and then empowered by the internal energy, the devotees engage in Satatam Kirtayanto. Because Kirtayanto now and then is possible, Satatam is only possible when there is the grace of Hare. And therefore, Srimati Radharani, who comes in the mood to distribute Harinam Sankirtan, is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, Krishna is hinting that for this age of Kali, those who want to actually internalize the teachings of the Gita, they can only do so by taking shelter of Srimati Radharani and chanting of the holy names by following in the footsteps of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as revealed to all of us by His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, who very lovingly and kindly established an international global society of devotees for all of us to take shelter and chant the holy names Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna.
I will continue in the evening session. Where is it? In the Narsimha Giridhari temple. Thank you all very much for your kind, patient listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very Krishna Katha and now Prasadam for the body and soul. And